All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get her going here. Start me off. Where to bid to go? Have it like $1,000. Open it up.
Why would a property owner file a quiet title suit? Welcome back. Now, this episode is a discussion about quiet title. Now, there's a ton of issues regarding property titles and a change of title and possession. Now, first of all, I'm Ted Thomas. I'm not an attorney, and I'm not a real estate broker. I'm an author, and I'm a publisher, and I'm also an investor and a guide when it comes to tax defaulted properties. And most of the newcomers that hear about quiet title, they haven't heard about it. And so we're going to talk a little bit about it today. There's an awful lot of confusion about this. So let's see if we can kind of clear some of it up. Now, I wouldn't recommend you do a quiet title for yourself. So understand that's my position. I'm going to tell you right now, you need to think about hiring a qualified, experienced attorney when it comes to the quiet title process. Because you don't want to hire just anybody that hasn't done it before, because they're going to have to go learn it. It's going to take a while. So quiet title can happen on any tax defaulted property. So my expertise is in a subset of the traditional real estate business. Now, traditional real estate is homes, and then, of course, it's small apartments, small office buildings, small farms, residential vacant lots. All right, that kind of real estate is what comes up also at tax defaulted auction.
How about to go there? How about to go there? How about to go where? How about to go here? How about now? How about to go?
And that's my field of expertise. Now, these are properties that are defaulted on the property taxes, and the county sells those properties for basically pennies on the dollar. All right, so it doesn't matter whether it's a house or apartment property or a small farm. If they don't pay the property tax, the county is going to take action, and what are they going to do? The consequence is they're going to sell that property at an auction, and the starting bid will probably be 10 or 20 cents on the dollar. So all 3,000 counties across the United States, all 3,000 plus counties can sell property at tax defaulted auction. Now, I've been involved in that business for well over 30 years. It's not complicated, but most people don't really realize that it's there. Now, the major part of the business is the 25% of the properties at tax defaulted auctions, 20 to 25% are residential land, or any kind of land for that matter, and most people don't know to bid on those or how to bid on those. So it's important that you look at these properties because they're going to be priced at the right price. All right, can there be some challenges with residential land? Yes. And so what's our question today? The question is, why would a property owner file a quiet title? Well, I'm going to show you how right now. So a tax defaulted property are sold as is at more than 5,000 tax defaulted auction. Okay, now land, when that comes up for sale, if you drive by, it all looks the same. There's no lines on the land telling you where the surveyed lines are and who owns what. So don't buy land without a survey, but if you're going to buy at the tax auction, they're not going to survey the property. All right, so the purchase of a property, you need to think about that because you're probably going to have to get a survey before you can get a bank to do any financing, and you might even have to get a survey before someone else will buy it from you. All right, so an experienced broker, it's going to be important to have talked to them. It's also going to be important that you find out and what surveys cost and why you would want to have a survey. All right, I would suggest you know about surveys before you start buying residential land. Why? Where is the boundary of the property? How would you learn what that boundary is if you didn't have a surveyor? All right, all the land looks the same. All right, now the worst thing that could happen to you is you bought the property and another property owner could have built fences or could be raising cattle or raising a crop or doing whatever on your land. How are you going to know that? Well, I'm going to tell you, once you do the survey and they are encroaching on your property, how are you going to get them off of there? Well, that's when this quiet title comes into play. So in this episode, I'm answering a question, why would a property file a quiet title? Because you'd have to hire an attorney now because someone else has encroached on your land, and you'd have to have a lawsuit to get them off the land. All right, you're not going to be able to sell, and most of the title companies are going to question you if you don't have a quiet title. How are you going to make sure it's clear? Well, a banker or any title company is going to make sure it's clear before they'll get involved in it because they don't want to get involved in the lawsuit. So local counties are going to take a lot of time and a lot of effort to tell buyers on their website, on the auction brochures, and on the statutes. They're going to say again and again, We're going to sell the property with a quit claim deed. Any defect in the title is going to be your problem if you buy. Same situation, they're not warranting. If you're buying a property, meaning a house or a barn or anything like that, they're not warranting that the property condition is good. So my point is, the county is going to tell you at the auction there could be consequences. How are you going to clear those consequences? Well, once you buy it, you're going to have to get an attorney to get a quiet title in process before you'll be able to sell it, or in many cases, before the title company will even issue any title. All right, these are basically legal notices. Maybe you don't know about them, but they apply to you, so it's something you're going to have to learn about. Right now, I'm just pointing out a few of the highlights. All right, easements can be a problem. Taxes can be a problem. Mortgages on a property can be a problem. Surveying can be a problem. Encroachment's a big problem. People will just move their fence right onto your property, and you'll think, oh, I didn't own that part of it. Well, they might just be taking property away from you by adverse possession, which I'm not going to cover. All right, now the statute number in Florida is 197. I don't know what it is in 49 other states, but you need to learn that. You need to find out what the statute number is so that you can find out what the county is going to cover and what they're not going to cover and what the rules are. Now, the rules are not difficult to understand, but there are rules. And just like anything, real estate has rules. Everything that's bought or sold has to be done in writing. So when the county's going to sell, they're going to sell with a quit claim deed. That means they're saying to you, we're giving you whatever is there. We don't know what's there. We're giving you what's there. All right. So they're not giving you a warranty. They're not saying that there's not any defects in the land or in the title. So you're getting the idea what we're talking about. All right. So now researching and getting to know this is not difficult, but the clerk is going to tell you anything that's on the county website is not warranted. All right. Anything that's on the county website is buyer beware. So you need to be the buyer that's beware. You need to do the research yourself if you're going to buy or sell. All right. The question today in this episode is, why would a property owner file a quiet title? Because that's how they clear the title, to make sure no one has encroached on the property, to make sure there's no liens filed on the property. In other words, if there's defects in the title, that's how you're going to clear them off the title, with a quiet title suit. That's a lawsuit which has to be done by an attorney. Now, I understand that some people do it without an attorney. I'm going to recommend that you find an experienced attorney, in other words, someone that's done it before, because it's going to be your responsibility that that title is clear, and if it's not done correctly, it will be your problem. All right, now there's a lot more to this tax defaulted property business than I'm talking about, but buyer beware simply means that you need to do your research and do your homework. Now, these auctions are taking place in over 3,000 counties. They'll continue to do this. You can buy for bargain prices, 10 or 20 cents on the dollar, no mortgage and no deed of trust, but it does require that you do your homework and find out what leaves the property. For example, what will leave the property and not be on the property will be the mortgage and the deed of trust. However, if someone's encroaching on the property, the county probably doesn't even know that, so you probably have to do a quiet title. Okay, now what attracts investors? Well, I come from the practical world, and if you can buy real estate for 10 or 20 cents on the dollar from the county or the municipality, you probably got a good chance of making money. But you need to look at what you're buying, because you're trying to buy at a low price, 10 or 20 cents on the dollar, and then you'll want to sell it at a low price to get it back out into the marketplace and sell it quickly. But the research belongs to you. So tax certificate and tax default investing makes a lot of sense, but I didn't say that it's risk-free. So be a practical person. Know you have to do your research. Don't just raise your hand and buy and hope and pray that it's going to work out. I'm going to tell you right now, prayer is not a very good business strategy. And I'm going to do a quick close right now because I'm running out of time. You see those little white circles? That's how many auctions are taking place within that state in the next 90 days. This calendar updates every single day. I'm here today to show you how to make money. To do that, I'm going to show you briefly that there are thousands of tax defaulted real estate properties across the 3,000 plus counties in the United States. This is quite interesting. You're looking at the Ted Thomas Magic Interactive Map and Auction Calendar. It changes every day. Now, I created the calendar and the map so I would know how many auctions are taking place every day in the United States. Now I can show the little guy how to make money. Most importantly, I created this system so I could have an auction list for each auction 24/7. Now, small counties, small population counties, they'll have dozens of properties for auction. You want to take advantage of that. The large population counties will have hundreds, sometimes thousands of properties to sell at these auctions. And if you'd like to have an auction list, you can go right below me and you can put your name in and you'll get a free auction list so you'll know what it's all about. I'm Ted Thomas. Don't forget, request your free auction list right below me.